Hello, and welcome to another live episode on the Total Space Network. I do have some audio coming in. I have to check something.
Yep, I've got audio outgoing. So welcome to the Total Space live stream of Deep Dive today, folks. We're going to have Mikko and myself talking about China's achievements in space.
I hear you twice, and myself.
Is it, have you still got the OBS link unmuted? The one that's feeding your video feeding?
Okay, found the problem.
You found your audio bug?
I had a tab that had our live stream open.
Yep. Hi Susie. Hi. I'm not going to attempt
hey, Susie.
I'm not going to attempt to butcher your name, I'm sorry. I will type it out.
Zbigniew Stadnik, maybe. Maybe we butchered it good.
Fantastic. We're glad the audio's okay and the video's okay. Welcome to the live stream, folks. We've got Mikko here for a deep dive live. We're going to be talking China's achievements in space. Would you like to lead the show, Mikko?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays, and it's been a while since we've done a deep dive live stream. So, let's get started. And first, let's talk about what China has been doing in space. So, there has been a few Chinese taikonauts in space. The first one, Yang Liwei, was launched aboard the Shenzhou 5 in 2003, and that made China the third country to independently send humans into space. And then there was a Shenzhou 7 mission in 2008, when China accomplished the first spacewalk. And in 2012, first Chinese woman was launched into space aboard Shenzhou 9, and Shenzhou 9 was actually first Chinese spacecraft to dock with a space station, Tianhe 1. And since 2017 there has been no Chinese people in space.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a while for them.
But they have done some robotic missions in space, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. So there's quite a bit of moon programs, and that's the Tianhe program, Chinese Lunar Exploration Program. And so far there has been 5 missions. Tianhe 1 was just a lunar orbiter and launched in 2007. Tianhe 2 was another lunar orbiter from 2010. Tianhe 3 was the first time China landed on the moon, and that was in 2013. And well, again, China was the third country to successfully land on the moon. Tianhe 4 was actually a bit more interesting. It was a backup for the Tianhe 3 program.
Mm-hmm.
But since Tianhe 3 was accomplished, and I think the rover or lander is still alive, but the rover doesn't move anymore. But the Tianhe 4 was the backup for that, and they actually landed Tianhe 4 in the dark side of the moon, or the far side, it's not dark. And with that mission they did have another orbiter or a satellite in, I think it was some of the Lagrange points in lunar orbit. So since it's on the far side of the moon, you can't connect directly there from Earth, so you needed a relay satellite.
And which Tianhe was it that took cotton seeds in an attempt to grow cotton? Was that
I
Tianhe
think
3 or
it's
4?
this one. I think Tianhe 4.
Tianhe 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that mission did fail, but it's still going strong. They have traveled. On the top of my mind, I have a 300-meter mark, maybe around 300 meters with the rover. It's very small and doesn't really go too fast. But Chang'e 4 has been on the moon over 2 years. So for a mission that was supposed to last one lunar day,
He's
it's
doing pretty well.
Yeah. And after that, actually this was before Chang'e 4, in 2014 they had a Chang'e 5 test mission. And they tested the capsule re-entry for the Chang'e 5 mission, which was last November, where they did an actual lunar sample return mission, which was pretty cool to see. I mean, first they launched it with the Long March 5, and then they separated on lunar orbit. Then the lander landed. Within a couple of days, it had collected the sample and ascended from the moon. And after that, it docked with the orbiter, and that they actually did that docking because they wanted to, train for some orbital docking for Mars missions. So, yeah, that was nice to see. And I think within about a month it was back on Earth and they recovered the sample. But I haven't really heard much about. We have seen a couple of pictures, I think.
We have.
But have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. I know, if I'm not mistaken, there was an anomaly in there. There was a bit of controversy over a bit of human-made material in the collection chamber.
Was that the Chinese one or the Japanese
I think that
one?
might have been the not the
Hayabusa.
Was it Hayabusa?
Yeah, I think it was the Hayabusa 2 mission.
Yeah.
The capsules were recovered not too far from each other. So I think one was in Australia and another one in China. But
I always get the two mixed up because they're both trying to accomplish the same thing almost.
Yeah. And I think they were like within a month or two from each other. But the Chinese lunar sample collection was, I think they planned around 2 kilograms of lunar soil, and they were just sort of with like 1.7, 1.8 kilograms. But I would say still pretty huge accomplishment with the first try. And Chang'e 6 was actually a backup mission for Chang'e 5. So Chang'e 6 is planned to do just lunar surface survey mission, and it will be launching before 2025. And Chang'e 7 is going to be similar to Chang'e 6.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about the robotic missions, maybe we'll talk about the Mars mission next.
Yeah.
And Tianwen 1, it launched last summer. I think it was July or June, probably July, around 15th. And it arrived in February, and it's been on orbit since February, and there has been quite a few pictures, and we did see some video of the orbital maneuvers when they did a braking maneuver to get into the orbit. And since then it has taken closer orbit, so it can have a look with its cameras where the lander can land. And the lander is supposed to land no earlier than May, so it could actually happen within a couple of months.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the Mars mission, if it will be successful, it's the biggest one so far.
Yeah. And I'm just going to quickly interrupt here. I'm going to say anybody that's watching the stream along with us now, if you stick around to the end, we've got something exciting regarding coffee and how you can get involved here with Total Space. We're going to continue with the deep dive, but stick around and you will learn about our new coffee club.
Yeah. If you like coffee and if you like to talk, stay tuned. Next up, well, let's talk about the Chinese rockets. China is actually one of the top countries launching rockets, and most of the years China is the first one with the most missions, and they do have quite a bit of rockets. Long March 5 is the biggest rocket you can see on the screen, and it actually has been launching the big stuff. For example, the latest orbital station we are going to talk about in just a few moments. But there is also a Long March 9 rocket being planned that would land people on the moon maybe in 2030s. So, but that's quite a bit in the future. And before we go into the current space station, China has had a couple of space stations before that. Tiangong 1 was launched in 2011, and on 2016 Tiangong 2 was also launched, and both have since been deorbited. And people have been on board Tiangong, so they do have some experience from space stations. And the new space station, the module launched yesterday. It's the core module, and there will be 2 smaller research modules and some cargo transport craft, and it's supposed to support 3 astronauts for long-term habitation. And it was earlier scheduled to be completed by late next year already. But for now, they do have the timeline to 2024.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologise. I'm just trying to get some nice things up for the viewers regarding what you were just saying. Like
Yeah, no worries. We were kind of in hurry with the B-roll. We were kind of delaying the stream till tomorrow because SN15 looked like it's going to launch.
so
we
there
just
is
coupled something together.
there is that core module here that was launched yesterday. Oh, just cancel that in the background.
Nice. And what you can see there, there's some of the docking ports seem quite familiar.
Yeah.
And they are kind of based or copied on the international docking adapter standard. So the Chinese station could actually dock with the ISS or even Crew Dragon if US would allow that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty sad that China has been left out, and I would like to see them dock with some US spacecraft and maybe even space stations in future.
Yeah. I think the science benefits of going to space are so important that we should put aside this stoic notion of war and fighting each other and think about progression forwards. And China are definitely a good adversary in the space industry to go forward with.
Absolutely. And they do have quite good technology, and they are quite far
Mm.
in terms of knowledge in space. So yeah, right after US and Russia.
So the space stations, we talk about the space station. Sorry, let me kill that one. Got some nice footage of some of their launches and the like.
Yeah, I actually missed the launch myself because it was around, I think it was around 7 a.m. here in Finland.
Yeah.
And for you, it was quite a bit earlier.
Crew Dragon at the Chinese IS, the China's space station would be great.
Yeah,
Definitely excited to see them prosper.
yeah. And the space station itself is supposed to be orbiting Earth around 340 to 450 kilometers above surface, and ISS is at 400 kilometers, so it will be around in the same range.
Yeah.
And the reason for such a low orbit is usually if something breaks and you can't control it anymore, it will just deorbit itself quite fast.
Yeah.
So there won't be any space debris left. And for the same reason, SpaceX did get FCC approval for the Starlink satellite to lower the orbit from 12,000 kilometers to 550.
Good question. Justini asks, wasn't there an issue between the Chinese space station and Russian cargo vehicles?
I'm not sure about that.
Oh, the human Wikipedia's stumped. Well played, Justini.
I mean, I have heard something that the first Chinese space stations looked pretty much like the Russian space station, so they could have gotten some schemes from Russia to make those, but I haven't. No, I don't know about that. But here is a good time to plug about our Becoming Multiplanetary show,
Yeah.
which hopefully will be released this weekend. It's a bit delayed, but Rich and Kage have done a great episode. It's quite long, I think, over 45 minutes, but they will also cover the Chinese space stations
And it's
and
worth absolutely every moment. I've seen it as it's going through production, and I'm excited to see what the finished production looks like. Definitely worth, subscribing, turning the bell icon on. That's part of the collaborative series that Becoming Multiplanetary are doing, along with To the Future.
yeah, that's been great, and thank you to the future because we have doubled our subscribers with that one.
Yeah, and for all new subscribers that are potentially watching this after the fact, we just want to say thank you for coming on board and supporting what we do here at Total Space. It really means the world to us.
Absolutely. I do have still a bit about the station.
Yeah.
And it will be only about 1/5 of the mass of International Space Station, around 80 tons or something like that. And in size, it's about the size of the decommissioned Russian Mir space station.
And Mir was a precursor to a lot of things we see.
Yeah, I think the Russians had the first space stations before Americans.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can also find that information on the Becoming Multiplanetary series.
Mhm.
But then we can have a bit of conversation about the Chinese-Russia collaboration. They
Yeah.
are actually planning a lunar station and will probably collaborate with the space stations too.
Now I'll just quickly say, as we're talking about the proposed lunar base, it's still fairly fresh topic, so we don't currently have any video feed for around us or images. It's a very scarce area of the internet at present, with it being recent news. So I apologise.
Yeah, and so is our content about it. I mean, there's not much released about it, other than it will be a collaboration with Russia, and they actually have formally invited other countries and international partners to join them. So it will be interesting to see if, for example, United States would join that station or do their own. What do you think?
I mean, it's interesting when we were talking about this Russia-China collaboration a few days ago over at Total Space, and you mentioned that despite current tensions with the US, there's the potential that ESA may end up sending astronauts to the Chinese Space Station. That's quite an interesting thought, because ESA do rent Dragons, as we've seen with Astro Tom going on Crew 2. So we may actually see a Dragon at the China Space Station, which would be an interesting one.
I think more realistic scenario is to have some Europeans on board the Russian Soyuz.
On the Soyuz.
But I mean, if ESA would buy a Dragon ride for 4 people, that would be outside US.
Yeah.
That would be a possibility.
I mean, a lot of people talk about the time difference between the Soyuz and the Dragon going to the ISS currently. And now let me tell you, I would take 18 hours in a Dragon capsule versus 3 hours in a Soyuz every day of the week. There's like
Absolutely.
economy class versus first class, isn't it really? The difference is just astounding.
Yeah. I mean, the fast 3-hour ride with Soyuz seems probably interesting for some people, but I would rather take a 24-hour ride to the station with Dragon.
Definitely.
But one of our Patreons, Marco, did actually bring up a point before the live stream. Why is Chinese space program important? Do you have anything to say to that?
I think that anybody going to space is important. We learn so much science on orbit, and opening that ability up to more countries and more funding and more research in space is not going to be a bad thing. You know, a lot of people are quick to criticise China's intentions, Russia's intentions, but ultimately, Russia have been working with the US a long time on the International Space Station, and in that time some amazing discoveries have been made about science that have benefited life here on Earth. So I don't think any country going to space is a bad thing, providing they've got the intention of science versus evil or malicious intentions.
Yeah, absolutely not. And the point I would bring up is China is creating a new space race. It seems to be a space race between SpaceX and
everyone else.
yeah, pretty much. So China is an important part of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much all the content we have, but if there's any questions, please ask them in the chat.
We've got Greg Albright asks, why does Dragon take longer? Just convention, or does Dragon have to do an inclination change?
The problem is, or not a problem, but the space station is in an orbit that's more, not more, but better for the launches from Baikonur.
More accessible to Baikonur launches.
Yeah. So it goes right over Baikonur, so they can launch right, I think it's right after it has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, Dragon could probably do a shorter capture for the station, but there was some kind of study that it's better to have crew sleep than have them dock within. If the docking goes over 8 hours, it's better to let them have a rest before docking so they are more alert.
Mm-hmm. So, has anybody else got any more questions before we make our final announcement about our coffee club? Would you like to explain a little bit more about the coffee club, Mikko? We've been working very hard today at that. Would you like to tell the people?
I can tell about it. So it's going to be a communities podcast. Pretty much anyone who wants to come on board can come and talk. And it doesn't have to be about space. It can be about your wild adventures in a desert or cooking something.
Or the time your cat got stuck up a tree, if it's interesting enough.
Yeah, but there's a catch. You have to have a cup of coffee, or if you don't drink coffee, I guess we can accept tea. But the show will stop when everyone has finished their coffee.
Once your beverage is consumed and there is no more beverages in hand, the show will end.
Yeah. So if someone is a bit boring, people probably will drink the coffee faster.
There is a link now to the Coffee Club Discord server. It does look a little bit empty in there. It's just locked currently on the system we're going to be using. If you keep notifications on, the only notifications you're going to get there are roughly around the time of our coffee club, as and when that is. There's no current planned schedule at present, but I think the first one tomorrow is going to be on Odyssey. That's the other important thing. I will, or Mikko will, edit the link under this video to come check us out on the Odyssey platform, where we'll be doing the coffee club, our after hours off topic chat. So if you like futurism, Elon Musk fanboyness and general banter along with a cup of coffee and a very mature drinking game, then definitely check us out at the coffee club tomorrow on Odyssey.
Yeah, and the reason we are going with Odyssey, Odyssey does allow much more free talk, so you don't have to, well, you can speak about anything there. We will, of course, have some rules, and the other thing is when we let anyone speak, we don't always have control what they say, and Odyssey is actually a platform where we can make some coffee money for ourselves before we hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 view hours on YouTube.
And more importantly, they're protectors of free speech. So if you do come on and you have, an axe to grind with Blue Origin or somebody at work or anything really, that free speech will remain at the coffee club, courtesy of Odyssey's openness to free speech.
Yeah, and Edel, sorry, it's not Edel. Greg, you can have a Red Bull if you join.
Yeah, if you don't drink coffee, we'll accept Red Bull or anything, providing it's a beverage. Generally, we're saying coffee because there's a rolling joke at Total Space that we're powered by coffee, which is very much a true rolling joke, I might add. But
yeah.
With that in mind, would you like to mention our wonderful, wonderful Patreons, Mikko?
Yeah. So, if you would like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/totalspace to join these amazing people. Stinger NSW, What About It, Chisuan and Sebastian, Susie R, Framrick, Gio Bagliari, Marco Makuch, Anthony Mann, Wohawk Me, Adrian Moisa, The Angry Astronaut, and Howard Walker. Thank you for the support.
Yep. Thank you once again for joining us here on the Deep Dive. We do have other shows on the channel. If you're new to Total Space, remember to hit the subscribe button. We have the Space Update, bringing you all the week's rocket news from ULA to Starship and everything in between. We've got Mikko, who does a wonderful deep dive every week. He takes a great topic and takes a deeper look at it. And then we have a futurism show, Becoming Multiplanetary, where they explore everything from the technical challenges to the ethical challenges of humans becoming a multiplanetary species.
Yeah, and of course the Coffee Club show.
And the Coffee Club
tomorrow.
And we do have Edel's Rocket series as well. She's been doing a wonderful job, short videos, so if you like quick consumption content, definitely check out the Rocket series. And we have the STEM study segment coming soon as well. I hope to see you all at the Coffee Club tomorrow.
Yeah, hope to see you tomorrow. And I think that's it for today. Bye-bye,
everybody.